No G with a Z. P-O-D. What is up, Gunslingers, Posse, and Brahmas? Phantom Nation.
Brahma Country.
Calling that. Brahma Country. I love it. Hey, it's the Smoking Guns podcast. Even though it's the off season for San Antonio football, we told you we would be coming online when we had big news, and yesterday we got big news. We are the Smoking Guns podcast. Yeah. We are a podcast that deals exclusively with professional football in San Antonio. That includes the San Antonio Brahmas of the question mark XFL ish thing
for now,
and the San Antonio Gunslingers of the Indoor Football League. It feels good to finally be able to say that. We have heard rumors for a while. We have known that there was something in the works, but yesterday the team finally announced that they will be joining the Indoor Football League, the IFL.
Woohoo! That's a good thing. Moving on up to the very top. Yes. By the way, what's up, my Gunslingers Posse family?
Hey, that's Leo.
Yep.
And that's RC.
Hey, beautiful people.
Just in case you're listening and not seeing us and you're like, who are these voices? Those are those voices. Leo, you were saying.
Yes. It's a good thing we're not on a weekly schedule right now, because I feel like if we were, we'd slip up and say the old league rather than the IFL quite a few times. Like, that's going to take a little bit of getting used to, but now that we're kind of like on a monthly thing, we'll mentally kind of get in that groove where we won't slip up as much.
We'll have some guests joining us in a few minutes. James Steubing from the Gunslingers will be joining us. We expect Todd Tryon, the commissioner of the IFL, to join us. Possibly also Tom Manas, head coach and general manager of the Gunslingers, will be joining us. So let's do something and get something out of the way, because when those guys come on, I want to talk IFL. But let's start with what we're seeing in the rearview mirror right now. And let's mention, I have nothing but fond memories of the NAL for the most part. There are times that I got really frustrated in the NAL. There are things that I wish they had done better. The Gibson thing was a big thing for me last year, and we have probably made that pretty clear over the past few months that we didn't like the way that was handled. And we didn't like that Gibson did it, but I liked even less how the league handled it. I've got nothing but, not nothing but mostly fond memories of the NAL. I think the NAL was exactly where the Gunslingers needed to be over the past 2 seasons. However, it was very clear to me as that season drew to the close last year that it was time to move on. And so I was not in any way upset when I began to hear the rumblings of us moving up and out and on to something bigger. And that's what we're doing. The IFL is bigger. It is established. It is a real league, for lack of a better word. And that makes it sound like I'm saying the NAL is not a real league.
It is, but
it has its issues.
The IFL is stable.
Yes, true. The IFL is stable. It has been around for 16 years. It has plenty of teams in it, which was something that always frustrated us. This 6 and 7 or 5 and 6 or 4 teams by the end of the year. 5. I guess we had 5 teams by the end of the year this year. They have a real staff, and we want to talk to the commissioner a little bit about that when we get him on here in a few minutes. They don't just have a couple of guys trying to do all of that. Cody Brooks checking in, his favorite crew. Well, hey, one of our favorite folks.
OG Gunslingers.
Gunslingers stuff. The Gunslingers colors. And we recognize that lots of changes are coming. And so we don't know if that will be the case moving into the new season. I have offline talked to Cody a little bit about that, and I know where he is, and I know what he is hoping for, or at least I think I do. I hope he doesn't need to play in the IFL because he's going to play in the XFL, USFL, NSFL, whatever they're calling the damn thing.
Whatever it is.
I would prefer, honestly. Barring that, I would love to see him back in San Antonio. But, if he can move on to something bigger and better, that would be my preference. Because I think that he is that kind of player that deserves that.
And wherever you go, Cody, we'll be your 3 fans. 3 fans.
For sure.
He's going to have more than 3 fans, but we'll be 3
Well, just on this podcast. We have a
Right.
For sure.
Right. So the IFL, 16 teams right now. Our understanding is that the Gunslingers will play in the Western Conference. And Leo, RC, if there's one thing that bothers me about this whole thing, it is that if there is, I'm not even sure I'm bothered by this, but if there's Honey Gunslingers, it appears will be in the Western Division, while the Frisco Fighters up in my home Metroplex area will be in the Eastern Division, and we will not be division rivals with our Texas, other Texas team. That's weird to me.
Yeah. Well, that dividing line goes like right between the 2 cities. Somebody's computer is.
What is happening?
What is that?
It's like the beginning of The Office, only not over and over again.
Is that me?
I don't think that's.
I know it's not me.
It
I'm
stopped,
hearing it over the
but Leo
headphones.
stopped.
Oh, you're right. Leo did stop. So, RC.
Yeah, I'm here.
You're still active in here, right?
Yes.
So, RC, what are you? We just got this news yesterday. What about you? What are you excited about, or what are you looking at, or what kind of questions do you have? Like this brings up some questions.
Well,
what were your first thoughts here in the IFL?
My first thought was, yay, we have a numerous amount of teams to play against. 16, that's a good number. We started off with 8, then that went to 7, and then it went to like 6 and 5. And so I don't think even the schedule was fair because some teams got more games than the others. And I just did not like that. I don't think it was fair. And so with 16 teams, I feel like everyone has a better chance of, having an equal amount of play time. That's what I'm excited about. What about you, Philip?
I'll tell you all about some of my questions and stuff. But speaking of questions, Dave Williams has one. He says, how many regular season games will be played? How many teams make the playoffs? We are hoping to get some of those very answers from Commissioner Todd Tryon here in a few minutes when he checks in. Or from James Steubing. I have a feeling he will have some idea about that as well. But that's all those kind of questions. Those are the kind of questions that pop to mind. My first thought on the IFL was I have never been excited by the IFL style of play. I sit at home. I watch football whenever I get a chance. I have turned on IFL games both live and recorded. I never can seem to engage in them very well. I don't know why that is. I am thinking a lot of it is simply because I don't have a connection to it. And now I do.
That could be.
I mean, now I will know some of these players. Now I will be watching because it affects my team in the Gunslingers. And so I have a connection, and that just amps up. It's just like fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't play fantasy football, and there are seasons that I haven't played, you turn on the Kansas City Chiefs, New York Jets game. And the only reason you're watching it is the beginning of the year. When you're in fantasy football, either you or the guy you're playing against have something, have some sort of connection to the game. And so you're watching it for something. So maybe just having a connection into the IFL will change the way I watch it and the way I interact with it. But I am willing to trade a style of play, that arena style of play that we did in the NAL, which, by the way, is not what the NAL is doing anymore. They're keeping the nets. They're getting rid of Iron Man. They're going to a more indoor football look. So we wouldn't have kept that in the NAL anyway, that style of play, it doesn't look like. they're going to a more indoor style in the NAL. But I am willing to change the style of play to my second favorite indoor version, in hopes that I will learn it and love it like I do the arena version of what we've been playing, for the stability and the big time kind of feel of a real league. And again, I'm not saying that the NAL is not a real league, but this just feels different. This feels bigger. This feels better. This feels more substantial, I guess is a good word for it.
One thing that I was worried about was, is it going to be as interactive as it was with the NAL, with the arena? You know how we were right there, like almost literally in the game sometimes, you know? Is that going to be, because I like that element. I felt connected with the players. I felt connected in the game. And I don't know if I'm going to feel that same way with the arena, with the indoor.
So now that I'm past these technical difficulties and
welcome back, Leo.
Anyways, to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, RC, I think a lot of that experience, the layout of the arena, I don't think is going to change much. I mean, they may have to do some things about the dasher boards or closing off the end zone. I'm not sure on that. That's something we maybe can find out this evening. But as far as the in-game experience and what you're talking about and being engaged, I can see that continuing with the organization itself, with the Gunslingers and the ownership group. As far as the league, the biggest thing and the biggest change I think we have to get used to is the lack of the nets. Now that we've gotten used to that and that element of the game and what that brings to the game, and there's a lot of an aspect of,
but it was 1 year. Like, we only dealt with that for
but
like,
I know, but we get so attached.
But
we were married. We started dating quick with those nets. I mean, we just caught on.
Those nets were sexy, but now they're gone.
They were a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie.
They were.
The one thing that I'm really gonna miss in this move, like the one big thing I'm gonna miss, is the nets. I'll be really honest. Like, that was the only thing that I was like, gee, I'll really miss the nets. Other than that, like, I'm excited about this. Hey, you know who else is excited about this move?
Who?
The San Antonio Gunslingers. And we have the president and co-owner of the San Antonio Gunslingers with us. He's James Steubing. You've seen him on our show before. Woo-hoo! James, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing awesome.
You've been busy.
Hey, James.
It has been a crazy
whirlwind
few weeks.
So tell us about the decision-making process that led you guys to the IFL, moving away from the NAL. And you know us, and we've already had this conversation offline. We're not dogging on the NAL. It was just time for something new and something bigger and more substantial, and that's what we moved into. It's not about getting away from the NAL. It's about going to something new and better for the San Antonio Gunslingers right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. This year was tough to see Albany crumble and then Fayetteville struggle and finally fold. And then by the end of the season, we were looking at, it was us and the Cobras. So we knew that we had to make a decision that was right for our organization, right for our fans. And we looked around. We looked at the AFL, the IFL, we looked at everything that was out there. And the IFL was the right place to be. We feel like it's 16 solid teams. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we got the Sharks, which was a great NAL team. I'm glad to see they were still with us. We're Steve Cran and I talk on a regular basis, and it's just a perfect fit for us. The level of professionalism, the vetting that we had to go through, the kinds of things that they demand and look for, and we know we're not going to run into the kind of problems we had this year with the NAL.
So let's talk a little bit about, you said you checked out everything. You honestly went to the drawing board late in the season. I know, because you and I had some conversations, and you kind of laid out every option on the table and said, we may go any of these directions. Right. We have all of these options able. You were in contact with the AFL. You obviously were connected to the NAL, and then you had contact with the IFL.
Yep.
And you began to do your process of information finding even before you made contact with any of those outside sources, because that's the way this works. Why did this one just rise to the point where this is the right move for us at this time?
The teams in this league are good brands. They're competitive teams. I just in talking with the commissioner about the way things are ran and the things that would be expected of us in order to enter, I knew that we were dealing with another level. The AFL might happen. There's all kinds of talk about where that's going.
Sure,
and that's fine if
maybe.
It does.
Yeah.
I hope it does, and good for them if it does. But we just felt like the IFL was the most solid choice to put our eggs in that basket and know that we're going to have a solid season, a competitive season, and
Sure.
And it would really elevate us. This year we're elevating in so many different ways with Coach Tom Manas coming on board, the best coach, arguably in indoor football. We wanted to also be in the best league, and that's how we made that choice.
You've mentioned the vetting process and that being a big part of your decision, or a factor in the decision and what the league required or asked of the Gunslingers organization. Can you share a little bit of what those requirements or those questions that they looked into were? I mean, obviously there's going to be some things that aren't to be made public, but is there anything about that kind of jumps out that you can share?
Sure. One factor is, they look at expansion teams differently than established teams. Obviously an established team is, knows how to run things and probably can operate on a leader budget. You're looking at, your financials. They're, making sure that, any kind of unforeseen problem that might pop up isn't going to cause the dominoes to fall and create, financial havoc in your life. And then you can't keep your team going, and everybody hurts when
We've
that
never seen that happen before. That's never happened.
No.
Yep.
We've
So
never seen an indoor team fold halfway through the year because they run out of money. That doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. Todd could, when Todd comes on, he can speak more to that, but those are the things we saw.
That's a great segue, because he is waiting for us to bring him on, and I was just waiting for an opportunity to do that. So you made that segue better than I could. I'm not a professional. I don't do this for a living or anything. I couldn't make it that way. He is Todd Tryon. He is the IFL commissioner. Todd, it's great for you to join us. We're really excited to have you on the show this quickly. It took us a while to get. You're the second commissioner we've gotten, and the first one took us a while to get a hold of. So for you to jump on in like the first opportunity, we really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Phil, Leo, you bet. I'm readily available. So you guys need anything. I pride myself, as James has probably figured out, I try to reply immediately and be readily available, because when people want something, you better get it to them, or they're going to find an answer from somebody else, and they'll probably be wrong.
So I can actually speak to that. I didn't know if I was going to tell the story or not, and you won't remember this, Commissioner. Can I call you Todd? Is that okay?
You bet. Commissioner makes me feel awkward, to be honest with you.
I imagine so. Todd, when we started our show, we got started following the Gunslingers way back in the very first season in the AAL days. And at that time, before we ever kicked off playing a game of Gunslingers football, there was another entity that talked about putting a team in San Antonio and actually released a press release that said that they were going to be a part of the IFL here in San Antonio. And I emailed you, a random guy from a podcast that you knew nothing about in a market that you weren't in. And within the same day, you responded and told me that that was probably premature of them to put out. And while you love the idea of having San Antonio as a market, and you were looking toward that maybe in 2021, that was not something that you knew a lot about. You didn't know me from anybody. You had no need to immediately respond to an email from some random guy, and you did. And that said a lot to me. about the way that you do business and who you are. I remember that now 3 or 4 years later. And I was very excited about seeing your name pop back up as we joined the IFL. And I was like, hey, I've emailed that guy, and he actually emailed me back.
Well, I'll tell you what, Philip, we made the right move by not accepting that membership into our league. They
did.
went on, and I think they caused some trouble somewhere else, but it wasn't in our league.
They did. They did. And yeah.
You know, we've done a good job of being patient. We've loved that market, but it takes good ownership. I keep saying we're looking for good people, and you know, that's what we found. And when I was down there the last couple days is, you know, with James and the Rackler family, I mean, they're really good people. And, you know, I look forward to the community supporting them because that's really what it takes to run these. And if they don't get the support, then, you know, at some point it's, you know, why do it? And, you know, so we're glad we're patient to get into the market because we waited for the right people, and that's what we found.
So let's talk a little bit about that for a second. Most indoor leagues we have noticed over our time in following indoor football are bringing in teams on kind of a warm body principle. Do you have a team? Do you have helmets? Do you have a place to play? Great. Come play in our league.
Yeah.
You know, we'll figure out, we'll do whatever it takes financially to try to shoehorn you in early in the season, and then we'll just cross our fingers and hope we make it through the whole season. That is not any particular league. That is a lot of leagues in indoor football. You and the indoor football league operate completely differently. I imagine there are teams that approach you that you say, nope, you don't have it. You're not ready to be on this level yet. We need more of a commitment, whether it's financially or fan base or whatever the case may be. Am I wrong in saying that there are probably applications that you guys deny for expansion from time to time?
Well, yeah, I would say most of the teams you're seeing being announced here have applied to us, and they don't pass our test. And, you know, I'll be transparent with you. There was a time where we probably would have accepted some of them, you know, but when you start getting enough good owners, you start figuring out who the like I have to protect who's going to sit at the big round table at our owners meeting, and it better be like-minded people. You know, it better be good people that have a business sense and have the money to back it up. And so, Philip, you're 100% right. We've got to, once you stabilize, and we stabilized 2 years ago, you no longer have to take a risk. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I don't fault these leagues for bringing on some of these, you know, questionable teams because they're in a position where they have to take risks or they don't have enough teams to have a league. Right. And, you know, unfortunately, we've got ourselves in a position where we recruited and attracted enough good people who attracted good people to where you get to a point where you stabilize and now you can be picky. And, you know, as we grow, you get more picky. And that's really where we're at. You know, we actually have 18 teams because we've got 2 already approved for 2025. And so you just keep raising the standard and raising the benchmark. And by doing that, you're just attracting better people.
So I've got Todd, one more, and then I'm gonna let Leo and RC go because I'm not the only person on this show. Even though word count, if you looked it up, I probably double both of them. So you say you're able to be picky, which means you chose at this point in time to allow San Antonio to be a part of the IFL. What about San Antonio made this one of those that you said yes to?
You know, you're looking for multiple things. You're looking demographics. Do they fit geographically in your map? And they do. They've got 2 travel partners to the north in Frisco and Tulsa, and they've got 2 to the west in Tucson and Albuquerque or Duke City. And so they fit demographically. And then obviously you're looking at the quality of the ownership group. You know, are these the type of people that can sit around the round table with the rest of the owners? And you know, as we went through that process, and you know, James can attest it. You know, we go through the financials and make sure you are who you say you are, and have what you say you have, and then you know, you come on the board and you present and you meet the partners, and still after that, there's still some stipulations that may or may not be put on you, and through that, then you ultimately meet the people, and you know, that was really it was. I kind of figured I knew what I was getting, but I was probably even more pleasantly surprised at what I was getting when I actually met the family and you know, saw the area And so, as I say, it comes to demographics, it comes to ownership, arena. I mean, you got to make sure that they're in a quality arena that fits your presentation. As we continue to grow with the gaming and the media side, you got to make sure that what is being presented on game night is a professional look. So you got to make sure that, they're not in some low budget arena, which they're not. And then operationally,
a rodeo barn, for instance.
We try to avoid those at all costs. But and then it comes to operations, and that was a concern we had in San Antonio, just because we didn't know. And that was the thing. I was so relieved when I went down and met it was James and his son Jordan and his daughter Morgan and Jordan's wife April. It's truly a family business down there, and so operationally, I felt so much better. We at the league level can help coach them up, so they that they can ultimately put butts in the seats and are here for the long term.
Well, hi Todd. This is RC. Nice to meet you, and thank you again for coming on. And so, you may have heard San Antonio has a great fan base. So, what team currently would be our biggest competition having to do with the fan base?
Well, RC, I will tell you, we have we've got a lot of rabid fan bases, and so I would. I would challenge you. Right now, our highest attended team is there in Phoenix, Arizona Rattlers. They just completed their 30th season, actually their 31st season. So they've had a lot of years of building their fan base, and they average about 12,000 people a game. This last year, Tulsa, they did an unbelievable job. A first-year expansion team. They're actually a hockey team that brought their hockey infrastructure into the football world, and they averaged about 8,000 people, and so they did a really good job. And Green Bay up there in Wisconsin, they're our longest tenured ownership group in the Trinklers, and they had 2 sellouts, and their arena holds about 7,000 people. So they did a really good job, and I would just say that most of our teams have a pretty solid fan base. And, I expect San Antonio to fit right in there with it. And, we're looking forward to watching them grow.
And to kind of follow up, do you know if any of the other teams have their very own podcast like the Gunslingers do?
No. Well, if they do, Northern Arizona has a podcast, but it's in season only. All right. Okay. So you guys are now setting a new standard that I will let these other teams know that San Antonio is already ahead of you in at least one area, and that's the podcast side.
And then the last follow-up question would be, so I started an organization called the Gunslingers, where we use females in football and family and community service. So I wanted to let you know that I will help any team out there that would like to increase their female fan base and football.
I love it. Gunslingers. Good job, RC.
Thank you.
Yeah, RC is a real go-getter and innovator, especially when it comes to finding ways to get the community and the female football fans involved in everything around the organizations we have here at San Antonio. She does a great job. So Todd, don't be surprised. You will hear from RC many times. If there's something you can help her with, she's going to reach out to you. So Todd, you've mentioned ownerships. You've mentioned the markets. You've mentioned the brands that are in the IFL that have history and are notable and recognizable. What else can you say, or what is the biggest thing that you would say the IFL offers to make it so competitive? You said something in an interview recently where you said there was the last champion team, the last team that won the championship the prior season had the worst record in the league, and then they were able to turn things around and be competitive the following year. What about the IFL makes things like that possible?
Coaching. I mean, it always comes down to coaching. Our last 2 national champions, all right, IFL national champions, the previous year had 1 win. And so our 2022 winner, Northern Arizona, the previous year they were 1-15, and last year Bay Area, the previous season, they're 1-15 or 14, and both of them made coaching changes. through coaching changes, it cleans house with players, and they bring in their type of player. And both of them did they got hot when it mattered most, and both of them came from the West, which San Antonio is going to reside in. And so, Leo, to answer your question, it always comes down. Great ownership attracts great coaches, and great coaches attract great athletes, and that's really what separates our league right now. Is we got the best coaches, we got the best owners, but we got the best coaches, we got the best athletes, and that's ultimately why we got the best league right now.
I'm doing a little bit of football math here. Just stick with me. Now, pay attention. You just said that teams in the West that had low, not very good IFL records the year before, that had a brand new coach, won the championship. We had a 0-0 record in the IFL last year. We are in the West, and we have Manas championship, baby.
Championship.
We don't even need to play. We don't even need to play this season. We already got it. We're already done.
Well, Coach Manaz has already called the championship.
Yep.
And I think the one thing Coach is going to realize is every single game there's a pretty competitive team across the way.
You bet.
And that's the one thing I pride ourselves in. Is last year our competitive balance was unbelievable. Our champion had 5 losses during the season, and it came down to the last weekend to set our playoffs. And that's how it should be. Is you want everybody to stay engaged throughout the season. Even our last place team, the Tulsa Oilers, they finished the season 2-14, and 10 of their 14 losses, they led late in the fourth quarter, and they lost by less than a score.
Ouch.
So it just, you're only as good as the bottom of your league, and I'm telling you, the bottom of our league, look for them to be in the playoffs this next year, because that's the way the formula has been playing out.
Let's talk a little bit of nuts and bolts, like specifically some questions that I know fans have about the IFL because they may be learning about your league as we go. Salary cap? Is there some sort of salary cap structure?
Yeah, we have a salary cap. We house you, we feed you, we pay your medical, and then we give you some kick around money for the weekend. The biggest thing that we try to promote is we're a platform to advance your life, whether it's on or off the field. And, I'm a perfect example that, I started in 2000 as an indoor football player for Sioux Falls Storm and played for 5 years. I coached for 4. I did a good job at networking myself, eventually bought the team I once played for and ran that for 10 years, winning 7 championships, eventually sold it in 2019, took this position. And so without the platform of what we offer, you could never achieve something like that. Sure. And so that's really what we try to show these players is very small percentages is going to make it to the next level. So, hey, let's help you network. And that was one thing I love being an owner, is seeing a player recruiting a good, high character, educated athlete come into our community and see him settle here. And to this day, I still walk around and I see a lot of players that, hold great positions in the community and gotten married and have kids. And that's really what you're trying to provide, is a platform to help these guys advance.
Speaking of players,
did you play? Oh, sorry.
No, it's a good question.
What position did you play?
I was a safety.
Okay.
Speaking of players, Todd, we've heard that there are some roster regulations or restrictions in the IFL, at least in prior seasons. Is any of that going to change, or can you explain that for some of the fans that are watching that might not be used to those rules and what they can expect?
Specifically veteran
players, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so ironically, it was called the Sioux Falls rule, is because in 2016, we had just won our sixth straight championship. And the reason being is A, we had a great owner, but B, like all the veteran athletes, the great athletes, they would migrate to the best program. Mm-hmm. And so what we end up having is when you got 21 guys suiting, you got 21 veterans, and you're playing against a bunch of teams that have first, second year, third year players. And so my best analogy is, a college football team having all, 5th year seniors playing freshmen and sophomores, who's going to win that? And so I hated the rule when they first initiated it. I felt like it was targeted at us because it was. But yeah. As it's played out, I'm telling you, it is one of the best rules to help create competitive balance because every team's only allowed so many of them. And, those it's 7. And those 7, you better make sure you recruit the right ones because they dictate the culture of your locker room. And it's been a great, almost another form of a salary cap to where you can only have so many of them.
What is the threshold for professional experience? Are there specific leagues that you tag as these are professional experience? Is it just IFL? How do you draw that
There's
line?
2 things that if you've played in any semi-pro professional team that can be tracked, and you played in at least 6 games during that season, it counts as a season of experience. And, you know, like any job, if you went to that job so many times during the year, I mean, that counts as a year on the job. And the other thing that we've tagged it is if you turn 28 years old by December 31st of the upcoming season, that'll tag you as a vet.
Okay.
Interesting.
League play starts when does the season start? Is it April?
Camp report date is March 1. Our opening week 1 is March 16th weekend.
Okay. And that runs through
July
June
13th. July 13th, and then our playoffs start, and we're still working on our championship game with our broadcast partner. It'll be either the second, I hope not the 3rd week, but could be of August, is where our championship game is going to lie.
So do we know how many games? I mean, 16 teams, expansion. Do we know how many games are going to be played in the season yet?
Yeah, it's 16. 8 and 8.
16?
8 home, 8 away.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Nice and even. I like that.
And you're gonna have even divisions this year. Divisions or conferences? How do you guys refer to them?
Yeah, we're conferences. We've got 8 in the West, 8 in the East. 4 make the playoffs. So you've got an 18 playoff, two rounds, and then your championship game.
And San Antonio is going to be in the West. Frisco is going to be in the East. So we don't get to have that in-conference rivalry just yet in Texas, right?
No, but you will have the rivalry. We will make sure. And when we put the schedule together, the first thing we look at is finances. We want to make sure that we keep your finances in check the best that we can. So San Antonio will be playing Frisco. They will be playing Tulsa. But when it comes to playoff time, or they'll go off of the Western Conference seedings.
Go ahead, Leo.
Well, I've all of a sudden have a very not very, but I have a personal question for you, Todd. My wife, who is a part of our show in the background, has just looked you up and sent me an image from your.
Whoa.
Oh no, I don't. I'm a little.
An image of I don't know if it's your LinkedIn page or Facebook page, but it mentions a place called Buena Vista University.
Buena Vista, yeah.
Yeah, in Iowa.
Yeah.
Oh, my son went there. He played football there. What a small world. Yes, yeah. He played there, running back. About 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I've got a Buena Vista football helmet. If I can move my head the right way, right there, if you could see it from his playing days.
Leo, that is a small world.
That is crazy.
That are Buena Vista Beavers.
She sent that to me. Yes, he was a Beaver. She sent that to me just a couple of minutes ago, and I haven't been able to think of anything else because I'm shocked.
96 to 99 was when I was there.
Okay. Yeah, he was there he graduated 2017. So he was there 2018. He was only there a year and then transferred to Southwestern, but that's where he started his collegiate career. He was recruited. The athletic director of his high school was from Iowa, and knew of the school. But it was too cold for him up in northern Iowa. He was used to. He's a South Texan guy through and through. So he ended up coming back after his first year. But that's just crazy. Not a lot of people I talk to know anything about Buena Vista University up in Storm Lake, Iowa. So very cool.
Yeah, there's parts I'd like to forget, but thankfully that's not on LinkedIn. I hope.
Has your family been able to enjoy San Antonio and visit?
My wife and I went there many years ago, and it was during the time when you guys had your lighting of the
Riverwalk.
the Riverwalk. Yeah, that's what it was. And so that was probably 25 years. I went kicking and screaming. And I mean, when you get there and experience it, all right, yeah, that's pretty cool. But I was probably too young to really enjoy it the way that I should. But that's been the only time we've been down to San. We've been to Texas a lot, just not down to San Antonio.
Another nuts and bolts question that I've gotten asked a couple of times in the 24 hours since we made this announcement, and even before that, because this wasn't a really well-kept secret, I don't think. I think lots of people guessed before we announced any of this. Is San Antonio going to have to, are the Gunslingers going to have to close in the back of that end zone, that one side of the end zone? I know that you're aware of the issue there. Is that something per the league they're going to have to close up?
And I talked with James about it. We'll take a look at it. It seems like every one of our venues have some type of goofy setup and structure. And as long as it's not really creating a competitive advantage or there's not a safety issue, and if there's a solution to it, then we take a look at it. But, sure. Obviously it wasn't a deal breaker, but by any means, or we wouldn't be here today. But, it's something, sure, we'll take a look at it.
Can we talk into nets?
It's funny because we have multiple teams that come from that previous league that had nets. And, they're the first ones to say, heck no, we don't want nets again.
Oh,
and it's cumbersome and putting them up and taking them down. And,
sure.
I watched that NAL championship game, and I mean, there was one, maybe two times where they came into play to make a difference. We've adopted, we've got the deuce rule and we've got, it's live off the goalposts. And, there's a few things that, you can kind of simulate whether it's a net or not. But, that's really when we were really competing against that former league, the Arena Football League years ago, that's really what separated the indoor football from arena football was nets. And, we've never wanted to align ourselves with them. We wanted to be our own thing. And really, going without nets has kind of kept our identity to where it's at. And so I'd never say never. If it can add, if it can add butts into the seats, if it can add to the bottom line, then we want to take a look at it. But if it doesn't, if it doesn't make sense, we don't want to get away from who we are.
Okay, keeping with the theme of the nuts and bolts, this could just be me, but are we still going to have cheerleaders? The 6-shooters, are they still? All right. Just checking.
Well, of course they're not going anywhere. Well, Todd, we really appreciate your time. I don't want to keep you too long. We really appreciate you jumping on. We hope we are able to talk to you a little bit more in the future. My last question. I don't know about the rest of the team here, but are the 16 teams we're seeing right now, is that the way we're going to go into the 2024 season, or is there any chance that may change between now and when schedules finally get released, which normally you guys are able to release schedules in October? Is that right? Yeah,
we will release our schedule here in mid-October. And I'm still waiting on a couple dates from a couple teams. Once I have the dates, I start designing the schedule. And it takes me about 40 hours to put that thing together. Usually I get the first draft out and I get cussed out for it. And then I get the second one out and I only get, a few cussing me out. And then usually by the third or fourth, I get that thing dialed in and we get it pretty right. And then we go to a full board and you got to approve it. And then you wait a week so everyone can design all their marketing material. You get it posted on your website and stuff like that for a public release. And so if a great ownership group pops up from now till then and they fit our demographics and they got a good arena and they got a good operator, of course we got to take a look at them. But we're not actively recruiting anything right now. I am in multiple conversations. Say we just approved 2 teams for 25. So if somebody comes knocking at the door, I'll try to encourage them for 25. But once again, if they're good people and they're demanding 24 and it makes sense, and our schedule isn't released yet, there's an opportunity.
Okay.
Well, I have just one more comment question. So I do a segment called Mom to Mom, where I interview the players' moms, and that's how the fans get to know the players. And then that's gone to wife, where I've interviewed the wife's coaches. And so I would love to interview your wife. She's the wife of a player, the wife of an owner, and the wife of a commissioner. So I don't know how many wives that would fall that category would be. So maybe if you can plant that ear, I would love to chat with her.
RC, she'd love to talk to you. You'd love her. She'd love you.
Oh, great. Okay.
And she has something in common with Phil. She's a pastor.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That was like my mind was going.
I was like, I don't have a lot to my credit here that's going to be good for Todd. So
So was mine. I was trying to figure out what are you doing here, Philip?
Where does she pastor?
She's at a church called Embrace, and it's a really large church here in Sioux Falls. And they've got multiple campuses, and she's considered the kids director and campus pastor at their biggest location. They serve about 5,000 people. So as I say, it's a pretty big church.
Non-denominational.
Yeah, it started as Methodist, and they've transitioned the last year or two. They've transitioned away from that.
I understand that. There's a lot of that going on.
Yep.
Well, that's incredible. That's a cool connection. See, there's all kinds of connections here, Todd. It's kismet.
Yep.
It's fate. We belong in the IFL. It's become clear through this conversation with Buena Vista and pastors and all of that stuff. It just obviously this all fits. We approve. We will allow the Gunslingers to join the IFL.
It is officially official then.
Accepted. Yes.
You heard it here first.
He is Todd Tryon. He is the commissioner of the Indoor Football League, and we are excited about being a part of his league. Todd, we appreciate you coming on. You have an open invitation anytime onto the show, and we will bug you occasionally to come onto the show. Now that we know we can get you, we'll try to get you pretty often to come on. So you may have made a mistake, sir.
Hey, my pleasure. Season tickets are available. I know they are. I mean, support the Rackler family. They do a great job there in your community. So get out and get those tickets.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. We're going to let you go and let you enjoy the rest of your night. Jim Murnay from the Inside the Walls podcast is begging for an Arizona Rattlers Jacksonville Sharks game in Jacksonville. He wants that game really, really badly. And he said it in our chat about 5 times. So I'm just passing that information along. Arizona in Jacksonville.
Be careful what you ask for.
Right? Yeah, right.
Be careful.
Yeah. We'll remember that.
All
Jim.
right. Todd, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Todd.
Enjoy the rest of your night.
See you, Todd.
All right, James. We spent a lot of time talking there with Todd. Now let's circle back around to you.
Sorry, God turned off the lights on me. So
no, you're fine. You're good.
I thought the sunset. That's because it looks like you were outside. Yep.
So tell us your side of some of these nuts and bolts things. How are you feeling about? Look, there's an elephant in the room that maybe we're not supposed to talk about, but we should. Financially, this is going to take more from your organization to make this happen on this level as opposed to the previous level. Am I wrong?
You're probably not wrong. There are some factors that help. A lot of the assessments that we had to pay in the NAL to run the league are managed through things that the league's already doing through corporate sponsors at the league level. Gaming that goes on as a whole trickles down and helps all the teams, not just the ones that are in gaming states. So that lowers our costs. And the close travel, 4 teams. I mean, come on, that's going to be a lot better than flights and so forth. So it remains to be seen. But when Coach Tom Manas came on, we talked about doing everything top notch. And so in that respect, we're going to work to find corporate partners that help us cover these costs. Sorry for my dog. Cover those costs and make it work. And we're gonna have our players have the best housing, the best food, the best different things. Oh my gosh, sorry.
You're fine.
That's okay.
My guess is moving up into a more substantial and more stable league gives you a little more ammunition when you go to corporate sponsors to say, hey, HEB, let's put your name on the Gunslingers now. We're in the IFL. They may give you a bit more of an audience at this point because it's something stable and substantial. Am I wrong?
No, I think so. I think that's exactly true. And the quality of player that we're going to be bringing in is going to be incredible. So you guys are going to find out about that next week. I think overall, the organization, we had a staff meeting today, and I was just putting out, guys, we're elevating. Every year we've elevated from when we started. This year was an elevation. We turned our record around, went to the playoffs, and this next year is going to be even like a 10x of the elevation with Coach Dominos at the helm with the team and helping with the general manager aspects. And the league and the quality of the league, the quality of teams are playing. It's going to be next level times 10 or 100. It's just going to be through the roof, and really excited about that. And also the coaching staff that he's already announced is
top notch.
Incredible group of guys that he's pulled in. It's funny, I see him post things now on Facebook primarily is where I kind of see him post things, and almost every post he puts out about the Gunslingers, somebody comes on and says, hey, do you need a blank coach? Whatever position or area their expertise is, and he's able to say, no, I've got everything handled now. I've got my staff. I appreciate you asking, but I'm good. That's impressive. And some of the names, certainly, James Fuller, and being able to bring on the NAL Coach of the Year last year, head coach that did a great job and could be coaching for a championship down on that league, says, no, I want to be up on this level. And that was part of bringing them up, was that but they knew this change was coming, because this is something that has been in the works for a while. I made a joke earlier about the worst kept secret in indoor football, but it kind of became that way over the last month, where lots of people started guessing that you guys were going to make this move. Am I wrong?
No, I heard it from everywhere. It just made sense. So I guess I thought there might still be some holdouts thinking we were going to go AFL, but yeah.
When Jacksonville announced that they were moving, I felt like a lot of people started looking at San Antonio and going, this makes sense for this team to also jump with them. That was, I hope I'm not ruining anything here. That was part of the conversation. Like, you and Jacksonville kind of matriculated through this process together, right?
Yeah, we looked at the AFL at the same time. We looked at the IFL at the same time. So we were both going through similar, processes of evaluating everything and talking about it throughout the whole process.
Yep.
Raul Nava has a question for you here, James, and I think it's a great question. Football-wise, things sound great, but how are we planning to bring more people into the arena? What does the marketing team have to do to improve butts in seats?
We're doing a lot. If you go to the website, you'll see there's a new offer just released tonight. It's a pre-registration for season tickets with a really awesome special discount, only good in the month of October. So that's going to get the ball rolling. We're not, of course, if we don't have a schedule, we can't be issuing out tickets. So it's pre-registration, $24 down, and you get a 24% discount over normal season ticket prices. So it's pretty awesome. We're going to be looking at group sales and partnering with all kinds of different schools. We're going to be looking at partnering with the school districts to get involvement with all levels of schools to be able to have a night dedicated to their school district and get kids in and their parents in. And we just had a lot of Coach Manas obviously has been around the block when it comes to this type of stuff. And that's part of the knowledge and expertise he brings with him. So that, it's hard to say now exactly what things are going to happen, but we have goals, and we've been talking about how we're going to accomplish those goals. Definitely a much better showing every game.
So 24% off your season ticket price, your same seat every home game, 20% discount on merchandise. We all know how hard the merchandise can hit you in the pocketbook the way Jordan puts together some of that stuff.
Outstanding stuff. Yeah.
20% discount on regular price tickets for other guests, playoff ticket priority, first right of refusal the next season, special access to parties and events. Those are team events that you guys are going to run, and those season ticket holders are the ones that are going to be able to be a part of that. To do that, you need to sign up for this. This says by December 29th. That's season tickets, but the deal, the $24 down and the 24% discount is only good through the month of October, right?
That's right. December 29 is when you need to be able to settle up on the tickets that you're wanting to buy.
Sure.
Yep.
That's a lot. That's a lot in there. But let me ask you a question. With this change to a new, bigger league, are ticket prices going to see an increase?
Well,
yes, that's a big question.
As you hear from Don himself in a lot of different places that he said it, we're about affordable family fun, and our goal is to keep the prices as low as possible. And so, no guarantees yet, but it's we're gonna do our best to keep the prices as affordable as possible, because we know in these economic times people are looking for family fun that doesn't break the bank, and they're dealing with a lot of other expenses. So we're very cognizant of that and sensitive to that.
Well, now that you've announced the new league, can you talk a little bit about tryouts? Like, what kind of player are you looking for? What positions? Things like that.
That's going to be a coach question.
Okay.
Yeah, that's his realm. I know that we're shooting for the 28th of October to do our tryout, and we're scouting locations to do that right now. And I think it probably is going to, we'll see where we do it. But yeah, that's going to be coach's realm. But I'm sure, his phone's constantly buzzing and ringing with all kinds of players calling him all the time saying, "Hey, coach, is there room for me over there?" So
speaking of which, you guys are going to be announcing some guys here in the next week, right?
We are. Big one on Monday.
How exciting.
Yes. Next week is going to be another intense, action-packed news week for us, and looking forward to those things dropping.
Any obviously you're not going to name anybody, but is there any familiar names or former Gunslinger players that have already been discussed and as part of these announcements, or is that still being looked at?
Yes.
Oh, good answer.
I thought you asked that question so well. I was ready to give you a big thumbs up on the way you did that. And then James answered the question perfectly. Like, yes.
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
That is all.
Long pause and everything. Yes.
The federal really makes it tough. It really does.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's Coach Manas's territory and his judgment, but I think you'll be happy. But knowing that we're dealing with such a small pot that we can work in, just be prepared that it's it may not go 100% the way you want, but I think that yes, there is some opportunity in there for gunslingers that have veteran status this next year.
Yeah, obviously there's going to be a large amount of turnaround and new talent names with the requirements there, and then also, as you said, elevating to what is considered the top league talent wise, and many other factors. We've talked about changes like the nets. We've talked about changes like about the teams. As far as players, is there anything else that you're aware of already at this point that Gunslinger fans, when they come into the arena for the first time to the Freeman Coliseum, they're going to notice a change besides the nets being gone? Is there anything else that you're already aware of and those changes have to be made that we're going to notice right off the bat?
Yeah, it's hard to say now. I mean, we're still 6 months out or more, but I think everything, we're always looking at, we want to get good at what we do, and then then we can elevate. We don't try and shoot for the stars right on the first, or we'll fail because our goals are too high. So this next year, we're really going to be working on what can we add to this, what can we keep going that works, and what can we add to it that's really going to make for a fun family experience of all ages. I was looking today through the comments on Ticketmaster. I hadn't looked at them in a while, and there was some really awesome comments that were from this season 2023 that people, first timers, were just talking about how much they loved the experience and had a great time. And so we're definitely want to preserve that, but enhance it and make it even better. So we'll be working on those kinds of things.
I know this seems like such a small thing, and it's not a small thing. It's a huge thing, actually. And this may not be something that you're even worried about dealing with, but are you guys going to keep the same turf? Or are you going to look at updating the playing surface?
It's being considered, and we're going back and forth. It may be just something we do next year, and maybe something we do this year. I couldn't say which way we're going to go yet, but if we do keep it, we're gonna give it some love and refurbish it if you will, and it's not a bad field, but there are some aspects that we can make better, and we'll be working on that.
Does the IFL allow for the open end zone that we have currently in Freeman Coliseum, or does that have to change?
They don't restrict it. Like he said, if it's not a safety issue and it's not a competitive advantage, it's something that they wouldn't twist our arm over. But at some point that will be addressed when we do buy a new field and redo the walls. Our pads are, they were secondhand when we got them, and they've had some use. So at that point, it would make sense to address that issue. But on the other hand, it's really nice for us to have that opening for our run of show events and transitions. And so we're looking at it. So
broadcast partner going to stay the same. TSP still going to work with you guys, and Ralph and Gabe.
Ralph, we're actually working on a coaches show.
Oh
yeah. So Ralph's going to run that with Coach Manas, and I'm sure you guys will be brought in to participate on that and cross share and that kind of stuff. A lot of new ideas that we're bouncing around, and some I don't even want to share yet because I don't want to disappoint anyone if they don't come to pass.
Sure.
But it's going to be a really the energy that's been injected into us just in the last month has been incredible. So we're on fire.
I mean, 8 games changes things, right? I mean, you're and the chance, the likelihood that those games aren't going to see a 5 or 6 weeks gap between them, like we've had both of the years that we were in the previous league. We had these big gaps. I realize that Freeman is part of the problem there, or not problem, but part of the issue there is that they are booked through a lot of May.
It's a hardship, and we're still facing it, but we're working on, can we work some Thursday games in so that we don't go on the road for 6 weeks or more? And, that'll be a concession. If we can make it to get the road trips broken up more, then that's something we'll have to consider. But,
who do you think is going to be our biggest rival?
Well, like he said, I mean, we're going to play Frisco at least once or twice. So I think that could build up really quick. Beyond that, I don't know. It's haven't really gotten used to the personalities and the team personalities yet. So it's hard to say. But I am glad.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm glad the Sharks came with us. That we have someone from the NAL days with us. That we have that in common, and I treasure that.
Have we worked on a mascot yet?
That's one of those things I didn't want to throw out there yet.
Oh, okay.
Good, but it is being talked.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Hey, can we work out something with Northern Arizona, and just the first game we play against them, whoever wins gets to keep their branding, and the other has to change colors or something, because Northern Arizona
they
and
are pretty similar.
Leo brought up really similar. So let's just play a game for it, and then whoever wins has to change their branding a little bit.
I like it.
Does that work?
Is that even on your radar, James? Is that something you even talked about?
That works fine as long as you're the one that changes.
Yeah.
Well,
right. Yeah.
That's up to that's a coach thing. That's a Coach Manas thing.
Yeah. I did notice that. But aren't the teams pretty cool? All the logos and the different.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
the sugar
definitely.
skulls. I mean, that's really cool.
Well, and the Rattlers, the Arizona Rattlers, and the Iowa Barnstormers are both historic indoor football teams.
Yes.
And then Jacksonville, of course, coming with us, but even Tucson, the Sugar Skulls, Green Bay, some of these are names that we've known about and that have been around the sport for a long time, and it just kind of is neat to see. You log into the IFL website right now, and right across that top bar, they've got all those logos, and our Gunslinger is right there up among the rest of those. Being next to the Rattlers. The Rattlers are kind of the granddaddy of indoor football. Like, they just kind of are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And to see our logo next to or in the same line as the Arizona Rattlers and the Iowa Barnstormers, it's just kind of cool.
Impressive.
It's very cool. And I was excited to see, there's when you go to the IFL website and you look at the teams, you go to the team page and it has a helmet, for each team, and it has the team information there, websites and locations and stuff. I was excited to see the San Diego franchise, the San Diego Strike Force, from a podcast side, because it was like from the beginning, James, when we first started out, and that's why we're always looking for other podcasts, because we love podcast banter. We love to have that kind of fun rivalry between somebody. And we didn't get that opportunity so much in the NAL, but here, hopefully there's some other podcasts out there that we can start some stuff with. And San Diego, we happen to know of a couple guys out there that were really great back in the AF days and ran a podcast over there for the Fleet. And I wonder if those boys would be interested in starting up a podcast, if there isn't already one for the Strike Force.
Them shipyard boys.
In the basement. There might be still stuck in the basement.
Those frat boys. Way back. We're going way back.
Yeah, we're going way
Commanders
back.
Days with that. James, I know everybody over there is excited and working hard to make this next season amazing. There is no off season. You've learned, is there? You rolled right into all of this. Tom Manas, this IFL stuff, which took a lot longer than I think you even expected it to.
Out of our hands, the things that held us up, but we got them worked out.
There is no off season. You guys have been working hard, and it just rolls on. Next week we start talking about players. Some of those names are big. I have already heard some of those names, and I'm very excited about the big names that are coming out. And I think Gunslingers fans are going to get really excited if they're not already. And if they're not, check your polls.
I mean, with the things that happened the last couple of weeks, it should be a precursor to a tremendous season. And the player announcements are going to be along that same vein. So
amazing. Just 2 years ago, this is right where you thought you would be 2 years ago, when you guys signed on to be a title sponsor for the San Antonio Gunslingers as John Wayne service company. This is exactly where you thought you would be, right?
Well, you were joking with Todd. If he'd have signed on that San Antonio team, I'd be on the couch right now watching TV. So,
well, no, you wouldn't, because they wouldn't have made it.
Everything.
It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. They would have never played a game in San Antonio the way things worked out. So, no, but really exciting. Ooh, Jordan Steubing dropping news as he does. Halloween horror jerseys in the works, coming up soon in the online store.
Yeah, that's
even in the off season, Leo. He's gonna get our money.
That's true.
Well, I wonder where he got the idea from. So we're kind of taking our own money,
right?
Well, that's
we're feeding the beast.
That's another thing we're working on is a store that we control, not outsourcing it to some company who knows where, but we produce the same quality materials, same quality products, and then do some shipping ship them out to
Yes.
the fans, because a lot of new fans from New York and Michigan and all parts of the country, thanks to Coach Manas. But
That's awesome.
yeah, so we're gonna have a lot going on there.
Are you
This
still
lady
going to have interns?
Stephanie Rackler Steubing says something about Jordan is the best, and then says something about mom bias. I don't know what that's
I
all
don't know.
about.
What were you
What
asking?
were you saying, Archie?
Oh, I was just asking if you're still going to have interns.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's part of
free workforce. Yes, they're going to have free workforce.
That's right. I mean, it's part of this world, but it also is a kind of a give back, and you're pouring into younger people that are wanting to get into this business, and this is a great way for them to do that. And they leave with knowledge they didn't have before, and we got some great help while they were here, and it's a great system.
Yes.
I'm
I
hoping
would agree 100%.
I'm hoping to make some connections with UTSA and see if they have any sports business students there. I know Coach wants to talk to their coach and have that connection for any of the talent that's there that can bring in as rookies and be a part of our team. And we have the hometown thing going with that. So John Wayne is doing some work with UTSA. We're going to be advertising both John Wayne and Gunslingers at UTSA games this year.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
yeah, so we're making that bridge. And then what were you going to say?
Well, and I know that with everything going on in this merger talk with USFL and XFL, that there is some question marks around some of this. But as things stand right now, the IFL has a partnership. I meant to talk to Todd about this with the XFL. They have a combine of IFL players that XFL coaches show up to and select players out of the IFL. Yeah. There is a working relationship where we didn't have that last year with the XFL. That actually exists here. Where you guys may be able to work with the XFL and the Brahmas if things stay the same, which is question mark right now. But
right,
yeah.
And Todd had mentioned during the press conference question and answer session a two-way XFL relationship, and so I'm not sure exactly what that means.
That'd be great.
But yeah, looking forward to that, and yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Football year round,
right?
Yeah.
I love how that sounds.
Well, we won't take up any more of your time. We're going to chat some more because we've got our own opinions and questions, and we're also going to talk about some of that merger stuff, I think. But I know that you don't really care about the XFL. That's not your thing. You're pretty busy with the IFL and the San Antonio Gunslingers going on.
I do have the one thing I wanted to talk about, and if I don't, April will kill me. The special event this Saturday with Roundtable Pizza, their 1 year anniversary party bash. Our 6-shooters are going to be there, so you can meet them, and Coach Jay Rich and Kali will also be on site, and that's
nice.
The bash is from 2 to 6. But our part is from 5 to 6. So come out and support, shake some hands and enjoy some pizza. I think they have some beer specials too. But it's going to be a great way for, the Roundtable was one of our corporate partners, and I'd love for them to feel the love of our fans in that event and slap our coach and player on the back and give them some love. So,
do you have an address for the Roundtable?
Hey, just Google it. I don't. It's also the link. It's on our Facebook.
I already looked it up. It's as long as it's the one that comes up here, 842 Northwest Loop 410, San Antonio, Texas 78216. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I'd have to look at our Facebook post. It's quite a bit down because we had so much news in the last week. But it's on
a lot of news.
Like what?
All right. Well, always, I appreciate you guys. We of course appreciate the fans, and it's been awesome this last year. We picked up a lot of super fans, and we're just growing and going. So it's been awesome, and you guys have been along for the ride, and we appreciate you guys.
Thank you for
appreciate everything. We enjoy being along for the ride and seeing what this has grown into. We've really watched this entire thing grow from just an idea that never had touched a square of turf into what it's becoming now as we join the premier indoor football organization in the country, a stable, substantial league. It's a really cool story, and we're glad we've been able to be a part of it over the last 3 years.
And we're going to make
look forward to more.
We'll have to make a documentary that shows all the crazy things that had to happen for this to,
Oh my!
to get here.
Oh man,
that would be.
We
cool.
got stories.
That would be fun, huh?
So. We got the stories.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
All right. He's James Steubing. He's the
Thank you,
president and co-owner of the San Antonio Gunslingers, and he's been joining us as the Gunslingers announce joining the IFL. Man, it feels good to finally be able to talk about this. It's been like a month that this has been out there and a possibility. And some of that time we knew it was going to happen. Some of that time it was just a rumor to us, but we couldn't even talk about it as a rumor because, we didn't have that. Yes. Jordan
Pistol Whipped
has absolutely named the documentary already. It's Pistol Whipped, the story of the San Antonio Gunslingers. Absolutely. This is really a culmination of 3 seasons worth of work that has involved a lot of people. James and Jordan, all of those guys, John Wayne, all of that. But even going back to the folks that we consistently talk about, and we don't want to forget the OG3, Jason, Hector, Jonathan, Raul, all of those guys that really brought this thing, birthed this thing from an idea into a real thing. And then it has now grown into this full-size, real indoor football team, and it will be part of the IFL. If we're really honest, all 3 of us could have looked in 2020 when we started this show, when the team started, we could have looked out at the IFL and said, gee, maybe one day, wouldn't it be cool if we could be part of that, something like that. And now that's the case. And that's pretty cool.
It's very cool. It's almost like surreal, to see a young franchise this quickly reach this level where you could go on a website now and see the logo that we've come to know and love right up there next to the Arizona Rattlers logo or the Iowa Barnstormers and other, teams like that have been around for years and years and have the notoriety and the fame. And to see this organization reach that level so quickly, it's crazy. It's unexpected. If you ask, like Philip says, a year or 2 years ago, we wouldn't have dreamed that would be there yet.
I can remember when we left the AAL and there was a big thing that final season or the end of the season of the AFL where I said AAL, where I said, if they come back to the AAL, I'm not coming back. Like, I won't do this anymore. I was done. I was very ticked off with that league. There was conversation all the way back then, I remember, with Hector Garcia about the NAL or the IFL. And I'll be really honest, and if he's watching, he's going to go, no, you didn't. But I never said it out loud. But every time he would go, yeah, we're trying to make the decision between the NAL. I think the CIF was a part of that conversation for the while. And the IFL, I would just roll my eyes and be like, we're not going to the IFL. That's not happening yet. Like, we're not ready for that yet. And we weren't. We were not ready for that kind of jump. But now to see, like, I think this is the perfect move at the perfect time.
Right. Timing is everything.
It is. It is.
It really
and this is exactly when this needed to happen. I didn't want to do another year in the NAL. I'll be really honest with you. I was really frustrated by the way things went to the NAL, and not even their fault necessarily, but just the way the NAL is run, it's going to lend itself to some of the problems that we saw last season.
We had
teams folding, and that's just going to happen.
And it made things. You don't want to use the word unfair because every team had to go through
every
that.
Team go with
but the balance of the league was just unpredictably unbalanced. It was, you just didn't know what was going to happen from one week to the next, or what players were going to be where, what team was still going to exist, and your schedule constantly changing. And it was frustrating.
It was chaotic
in
a way that you don't look. The NFL is chaotic every year. Like, there are things that happen in the NFL where you go, whoa, like this whole idea that the NFL is scripted, I think is incredible. Because are you serious? Those people that think the NFL is scripted, you think they scripted that Aaron Rodgers was going to blow out his
the first
Achilles heel? Yeah, in the first drive of his time in New York? No. There is chaos in the NFL, but it's never chaotic.
True.
There is chaos, but it is not chaotic. The NAL last year was chaotic.
Right.
It was.
And I know
from week to week, you didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know what team you were going to. There was a week that we started the week on Monday not knowing who our opponent was going to be the next Saturday. Like, that happened. That was a thing.
Right. I know that before John Wayne took over, I literally, and you two may remember, I was one podcast away from not doing this podcast anymore. I mean, to me, it was that bad. And that chaos happened again last year. And so I was like, oh my God, here we go again almost, and that I just don't want fans to ever not trust us. And I kind of felt like we didn't know who to believe, what was going on. And when I get that feeling, I was like, I don't want to come on and tell people that I don't know, but I didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
It's tough. This just feels like the right move at the right time, just kind of all the way around to me. And I see good things happen for the NAL. By the way, speaking of friends and old times in the Gunslingers days and the NAL, congratulations to the North Texas Bulls for signing a deal to be a part of the National Arena League. But, you listening? I'm looking right at you now. I'm looking you in the eye. We are not the ones that stopped playing football for 2 years because we won the championship and didn't want to risk it. That's not us. So stop saying, oh, the Gunslingers are running away to the IFL because they don't want the Bulls. No, that's not what happened.
No running going on here.
You stopped playing for 2 years because you were scared of us. Don't even come that direction. Oh, I'm already tired of hearing that mess right there. Congratulations. I am really glad that North Texas is going to be in the NAL, that the NAL is growing. It really is. They've got a good, solid set of teams. They have some folks in their organization now that are helping run things a little more professionally. I actually see the NAL improving.
It will be better
as
for
we
sure.
Speak. Yeah,
I think so too. By the way, on the subject of the North Texas Bulls, if you follow them on Facebook, did you see their recent announcement of who their quarterback or who's back?
After all of that talk, where we thought he was done, this season with the Gunslingers is Robert Kent's last season. Nope. He's going to go play for the North Texas Bulls in the NAL.
And congratulations to him. And congratulations to the Bulls. That'll be fun to watch, and we'll be watching you guys from afar in the IFL.
But we ain't running away.
No, not at all. I do want to state, and we kind of touched on it on the last show, but for people joining us now, new fans and with the IFL business, or just looking into the Gunslingers organization for the first time, it's exciting and it's awesome, but it's also going to be bittersweet because of this veteran rules and the need to bring in new talent and players, and Coach Manas and the connections that he has and undoubtedly will attract. It's also going to be very, very hard for you, longtime OG Gunslingers posse, and all the guys that we've gotten used to rooting for and cheering for and shaking hands with and hanging out with after games and in parking lots and wherever. Not a lot of those guys are going to be back. Very few of them, as a matter of fact. And this is why we asked the question. And everybody, everybody has an idea of who James might have been referring to. And then he also dropped a name for the event this weekend.
Right? I heard
When
that.
he said Kali Rashad would be there at the event this weekend, which to me is a huge hint. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
He said we'd be happy, and that certainly is a name that makes us happy.
Did he mention? He mentioned two names.
Mhm.
One was on the coaching staff. It's Jay Rich, and we know
Yes.
he is going to be here as part of the thing.
We know he's
So
back.
logically, when he mentioned Kali Rashad, that leads me to believe that at this moment, Kali Rashad is also part of that group that will remain. I don't know that. I'm just using Philip logic, and sometimes that is wrong. Not often.
I saw
Sometimes.
5 signs that said, you know what I mean.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's but what you say is absolutely correct, Leo. It is front of the jersey time, not back of the jersey time. This season, this offseason, as we go into look, we're changing leagues, changing coaches, and changing general managers. Any one of those things contributes to a certain amount of turnover in your player roster. All 3 of them at the same time, you're going to see new names that you know, probably.
New names to get excited about.
Yeah,
well.
you're going to see some some names that you know and that you can get excited about, but you can't get upset when, your favorite player, not your favorite player, Leo, I think he's coming back. But your favorite player that, when Chisholm just isn't isn't that guy. And he goes and plays in North Texas next year, or goes and plays in Corpus with Hector and Jason, or whatever the case may be.
Or Colorado.
With Coach Shaw.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
By the way,
Shaw.
congratulations,
Yes.
Coach Shaw. Super excited to see him get that opportunity. Good pickup. Like, way to be right on top of things, Colorado. You're getting started, and you got a guy that was in that league last year, that knows the people, that knows players, and can build a competitive program right from the start. Good call. Great call by Colorado. I'm glad for him. I'm glad for them. I will be paying special attention to the Colorado Spartans next year because I like Fred Shaw. I'm not a Fred Shaw hater. I'm super excited about Coach Manasse, but I want the best for Fred Shaw as well.
When one door closes, another one opens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
So, very happy for him in that. I saw a video that he posted up where he went to go visit the facilities there, and they look pretty impressive.
Gorgeous.
So, stuff. Definitely, they should be excited in Colorado about the start they have there for the Spartans team, and it's likely we may see some of these guys, playing over there with the Spartans, and we can watch and be fans from afar. But still, it's going to be tough. Not seeing for a lot of us, it's going to be tough not seeing some of these guys that we're used to seeing in the red, in the Gunslinger red, white, and blue.
For sure.
I'm excited for the New York fans and listening to their accent.
New York fans.
That Manasse said he promised he was bringing with him because that's where he's from. Yeah, so he's
so welcome. Come
Bring him
on,
on.
start listening to the Smoking Guns podcast.
I'm very excited that the Frisco Fighters are going to be a part, and not just for the rivalry thing, but they are tied into my second favorite sport is hockey, and it's Dallas Stars hockey. And the Dallas Stars and Frisco Fighters, I believe, are owned by the same ownership group. If not, they are tied in and do a lot of marketing together. And I'm very excited about that because I want to parlay this situation that we're now in the IFL and I'm connected to the IFL into getting connected further into Dallas Stars hockey because go Stars. And Bob, if that was about my Stars, we're fixing a fight, brother. What are you, a Penguins fan? Pittsburgh. I know that you're a big Steelers fan. Are you a Penguins fan too? That would be unfortunate because yikes. So the IFL, go Pens. The Penguins are okay. It could be worse.
It could always
be worse. You could be a Colorado Avalanche fan or something like that. Toronto Maple Leafs fan. So the IFL, it's super exciting. One of the most exciting things, Bob is here and he's commenting. James has commented, Jim a few times. One of the things that I love the most about this shift at this time is that Jacksonville is going with us, because we built some relationships with folks in Jacksonville and with that team. I really love the fact that Jacksonville and the Sharks are going with us to the IFL. I think that just kind of sweetens the whole thing.
And we
not for you, huh, Leo?
Well, I was just gonna say we get to keep poking at Coach Gibson too, so that could be
why
fun.
wouldn't
That's
we?
a win-win.
That could
That's
be
a
fun.
win-win.
Why wouldn't we? Oh, funny stuff. Hey, can't do that in this league. I see. In this league, I would think something like that would be handled differently.
For sure.
And
I would think so.
That is a major reason that I'm glad we're making this kind of shift. Is because I've said this, and I may have even said, I don't think I've ever said this on the show, because I don't like talking badly about the NAL, and I don't really want to do that now. The NAL always came off to me as a group of owners that were set up some sort of confederacy. They worked together, but they were always more worried about their own self-interest than the interest of the league as a whole. And that hurts the league.
True.
Where I get the feeling the IFL is a league for sometimes somebody's going to have to take a hit personally or as a team to help the league. And I'll point to something specific to show you what I mean. When the NAL went into playoff time, we begged, and not just us, but Jim Murnier, I think, made the point that they needed to stagger playoff games in the NAL so that fans could be live and keeping up with each game as it was happening, instead of running them at the same time. Sure. However, they ran all their playoff games at the same time because it was better for them and the gate, making money on people coming into the stadium or coming into the arena. So they ran them at the same time, even though the league said it would be better if we staggered them for our footprint. In the IFL, I believe playoff games were staggered, and you did not have playoff games happening at the same time. You certainly didn't have it happening the same way it did in the NAL. That seems like such a little thing, but it's not.
No,
it speaks to who is calling the shots. And to me, it was always a group of owners that were looking out for their own self-interest that were calling the shots, instead of a league that was operating as a league. And hey, rising tide floats all boats. So you may take a hit on your gate because you have a 2 p.m. Saturday game instead of a 7 p.m. Saturday game, staggered. So you're just going to have to do that. You're just going to have to put up with it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100% about, that it felt that way at times with the NAL, and I don't expect that in the IFL. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what the schedule looks like, but I definitely don't expect to see that same type of atmosphere.
Yeah.
Right. If we've learned anything, we've learned that one team and their attendance cannot sustain the whole league, right? And so that's where I feel more confident in this league compared to the other leagues that we've been in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I am much more comfortable. It's amazing. The AAL, I was not comfortable at all. We joined the NAL, and I was like, okay, this feels a little more stable. And it was a little more stable. Not a ton. There were always issues we had. And
it was better in year one.
There will be issues that we have. Well, but remember, in year one, we had lots of official issues, of officiating issues.
Yeah, that's true.
That we struggled with that we didn't have last year. Like, that wasn't as big a deal last year. But it was a little more stable. And now we are just stepping up to the next. It has felt like a natural progression.
Yeah. We're moving on up.
We have progressed to the biggest, moving on up to the west side because not the east side. We're going to be in the west.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, if you haven't looked at a map and you're interested in who our Western Conference opponents are, it is the Arizona Rattlers, the champion Bay City Panthers, the Duke City Gladiators, the Northern Arizona Wranglers, the San Diego Strike Force, the Tucson Sugar Skulls, and the Vegas Nighthawks are the other 7 teams in our conference.
Can we get a visual put up maybe really quick? Because I know
Yeah,
y'all are super smart with that.
Super smart. Man, am I
Uh-huh.
smart. I'm very smart.
Yeah,
I
they're
just come up with the
super
ideas. I
smart.
don't know how to do them.
There is a map on the IFL team page that I'm sure is what Philip is bringing up right now for the people that are watching. And I don't want to ignore Michael Wayne Davis's comment earlier. We didn't get to touch on it when we were discussing, but I thought it was funny when we were talking about the similarities in the branding between the San Antonio Gunslingers and the North Arizona Wranglers. He said, we'll beat them, and then we'll beat them to the point where we'll just physically remove the jerseys off of them,
Right.
which I thought was funny.
Just strip them right there on the field. Just
right off on the field, yeah.
So there you go.
Yep.
If you're watching us live right now or you're watching us on delay, you can see now the map of the IFL as it currently stands. The line for East and West runs right in between Frisco and San Antonio. The teams to the left of that are in the West. From San Antonio to the left, the teams from Frisco to the right, including the Storm, are all your Eastern Conference teams. Teams like the Massachusetts Pirates, teams like the Quad City Steamrollers, who, by the way, that's where we got that playing surface that we have now. Used to be the Quad City Steamrollers.
Yes.
Green Bay Blizzards. I don't know that that's true yet, Bob. Bob is saying he's hearing Pirates, Massachusetts Pirates may move to Tampa. I have heard that rumor, but that's all it is right now as far as I'm concerned is a rumor. Sioux Falls Storm over there in the east as well, Tulsa Oilers. And then out west with us, you can see some that are close by. A lot of them are, I feel like a lot of this feels closer. Certainly Duke City, even Tucson, Frisco, and Tulsa. Those 4 cities are not all that far. It is certainly not going to Jacksonville 3 times a season or some of that stuff that we've had to deal with before. So there you go.
That map, where would you possibly go to see a game?
Frisco for sure. Quad City Gladiators. That's actually that's
Duke City.
Or Duke City Gladiator, sorry, but that's actually in Albuquerque, right?
That's Albuquerque,
New Mexico,
home of Walter White and Jesse
I was
Pinkman.
just gonna say, for any Breaking Bad fans, you can visit some of the filming sites while you're there. So that would
there's a whole industry around it in Albuquerque, from what I understand.
Yeah. Perhaps the Sugar Skulls and the Rattlers are not too far away. Now the Nighthawks in Vegas would also. Jordan Steubing just said in a comment, lots of charter bus opportunities for fans. Party bus. Hey, a party bus to Vegas.
I'm on that bus. I am on that bus.
The Smoking Guns podcast is there. Jordan Steubing. Mark it down. Make that happen.
So the IFL, that is where the Gunslingers are going. It is so good to finally know that and be able to talk about that. Man, exciting stuff around the Gunslingers. Tom Manas, the IFL, and even more news coming next week with player signing. Lots to be excited about around your San Antonio Gunslingers. But let's
Yes.
transition. We got about 20 minutes left, and we usually try to keep the show right around 2 hours. We got about 20 minutes left. There's stuff we have to talk about in other places. I'm not really
You mean like
excited about
Taylor
this
and Kelsey?
conversation. I think Leo really wanted to talk about Travis Kelce and his relationship with
think
Taylor
so.
Swift, right, Leo?
Right,
Wasn't that something
Leo?
that you really wanted to discuss?
Oh no! Really?
He's gone, y'all.
Oh my God! I thought that was joking.
He's gone. He
He
left.
was like, oh, thank you.
There he is. So let's
I
start.
am not a Travis Kelce fan, by the way. That's for those people that did not
Yeah,
see.
it wasn't for
Well,
Taylor.
he
It was
doesn't mind right now. He just got a whole bunch of new fans over the last
whole
week
bunch.
or so.
Oh,
NFL
brother.
got a whole bunch of new fans.
Yeah, whatever. The breakup album is going to be epic.
Oh, it's gonna be
it's going to be a
excellent.
lot of fun.
Fumble here and a fumble there.
Don't write her stuff for her.
Oh God, no. We lost him again.
Leo, this is actually good for you. We've noticed, if you've been paying attention to the NFL, when NFL players get involved with high-profile girlfriends or wives, it tends to affect their game on the field. So maybe this is good for you.
Maybe. We'll see.
So
I don't know.
Jordan wants to know if we can just skip to the part where she writes songs about him. It's coming. Don't worry.
It's coming.
Probably. Yeah.
It's coming. No, let's start talking about some of this merger stuff. And we have to be careful because everything we know right now is rumor.
It's all conjecture.
I know nothing. I was gonna say I know nothing.
Absolutely nothing solid. And so I'm hearing a lot of things that frankly frustrate me.
Love it,
wrong,
Jim.
That's wrong,
Love it,
Jim.
Jim.
That's wrong.
They should have kicked the field goal. I don't know why. Jim saying Leo, Miami just scored again. Those of you who follow the show know I am a big Broncos fan, but yeah, that was
still a big Broncos fan.
I'm still a big Broncos fan. It's like the child that you want to strangle at times, but you still love them.
So let's talk a little bit about this merger, because here's the thing. I don't know that any of this is true. Right now, I know that the XFL is operating in such a way that it leads me to believe that they are going about business as usual. But I also mean that doesn't really mean anything. But they just announced a new season ticket package up in St. Louis. They are still selling tickets, and the Alamo Dome has no plans to change anything as things are right now, from what we're hearing. But
yes,
here's some of the things that I am hearing. And Leo, I know you and RC, you guys are hearing some of the same things. USFL and XFL look like they are working toward a merger.
Correct.
Yep.
Which I'm okay with. That's fine. But
come up with a better name, though.
The NSFL, so they're going to toss two decent brands for football out and create something new. I don't like that.
I don't either.
The rumor right now is that the schedule will move to April to July. I do not like that.
No, don't like that at all.
It conflicts with the Gunslingers.
And that they will adopt the hub model that the USFL has used. And I don't like that.
Word kills me. That word kills me.
All of these things are things that I don't like. I don't like it.
And some of the rumors that I've heard is San Antonio will be a hub city. So
I mean, if they're going to go to a hub, they might as well go. One of the really random ideas I heard last week was that they wanted to do hubs, but purposely keep home teams out of that hub. So they would create hub cities, but move teams away from. So San Antonio, even if there were a hub, would not be in San Antonio. They'd be in Louisville, Kentucky. And we would have Houston and Arlington here. as our hub cities.
That is the worst idea of all ideas. Like
I can't wrap my mind around that at all.
Whoever said that, kick that guy out of the conference room right now. Just tell him to go.
Yeah, the meme
or something.
The meme with the guy that just gets thrown out the window for the terrible idea.
Yeah.
That guy. That's that guy right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't like the idea of hubs. I think we've made that really, really clear. It's the one thing about the USFL that really has robbed my interest.
Hub playing, we'll say, not hub like
right.
The XFL had the hub in Arlington where they practiced and got and did training and everything in training camp and all that. That's fine.
That.
We're talking about playing games.
Yeah. Right. You got to play games in your home cities. Like you have to.
Yeah.
You just have to. We're gonna get there, Lois. We're gonna talk about the NFL and Vance Joseph and where he needs to be packing to move to. We're gonna talk about all here in a minute. We've had internal discussions on the show, and I'm just letting you know now where we stand as a show. We are a show about professional football in San Antonio. If the Brahmas are not playing in San Antonio, it is not professional football in San Antonio.
Nope.
So while we'll probably watch and keep an eye on things, it probably will not be a big thing that we cover if they move San Antonio up to Arlington for 2 seasons to play Brahmas football in Choctaw Stadium. That's probably just not something that we will spend a lot of time covering. It's not professional football in San Antonio at that point.
Honestly, how many fans in San Antonio, if you have a San Antonio football team playing in Arlington or anywhere else, how much money are you going to put into that team that season?
Right. Not much.
How many T-shirts, hats, whatever are you going to buy? Not a whole lot. I could tell you me.
What are you going to buy your T-shirt and your hat for, so that you can go to a watch party at
somewhere?
Walk-ons with everybody?
It's hard to care. Like, who cares?
It's hard to get invested.
And that's why the idea of like, oh well, San Antonio may be a hub city. Yeah, it's great, but how do you not feel bad for
all
teams
the other teams,
like say maybe DC that could possibly lose, and they have a great following. Like I don't understand how it could be even considered to lose that fandom, that following there, because they're going to move them to some hub city. They're going to play out of Birmingham. You know, I don't know. Hopefully it's not true.
I just don't like a lot of what I'm hearing about this merger. Like I understand 2 leagues that look at each other and go, we're very similar. We should be doing this together. I get that. I understand that. The problem is everything I came to love about the XFL, they are reverting to a model that I don't like as much. In hub cities, in a schedule that I don't really appreciate. I don't like a gap between the end of the NFL season and the start of the NSFL season, which, by the way, that's a stupid name. The National Spring Football League, the NSFL, sounds like a knockoff of the NFL. It sounds like you're trying to sound like the NFL, and you just threw an extra letter in there. It's stupid. It's crappy. Keep one of the, even if it's USFL, keep one of the brands that you already have that are both good. Just do that. That's fine. Somebody's got to lose, somebody's got to win, but don't both lose. That's stupid. Yeah, that's foolish.
It's too much like NSFW too, not safe for work. So you're not safe for
right.
You get dangerous with that L.
Yeah. Not a fan of what I'm hearing. I hope it's all just conjecture. I don't mind the teams. I don't mind the 2 leagues running their business the way they run their business, even if it means we have to change schedules around a little bit and playing a championship game against each other at the end. Like, that would be fine. But the things that I'm hearing right now, which gratefully are all just rumors. We thought we might hear something today and we might have even more to talk about on the show. There was no official announcement made today, but there were rumors that was possible.
Yeah.
I'm just not liking what I'm hearing, and I'm just warning any Brahmas fans that are watching us right now that, like, if they move the Brahmas out of San Antonio, it no longer fits within the mission of our show until the Brahmas
Our
come back.
spectrum.
It's not something that we would spend a lot of time on.
And even if they stay, I mean, I guess that might be good for the Alamo Dome if they're hosting as a hub city and doing other teams. But they've already talked about. I mean, it's all over social media as far as one of the other teams, the Houston, because that's a conflict. You got two
right,
teams.
because there's two teams in Houston. What do they stay with? The rumor is that it would be the Gamblers over the Roughnecks, which I fully understand. The Gamblers has a lot of spring football history. Jim Kelly and the whole run and shoot and all of those things that took place in the 80s. I get it. I like the Roughnecks branding better than the Gamblers, but I totally understand. You got to pick one, and I get why they would pick the Gamblers over the Roughnecks if that's what happens.
Would they leave the Brahmas branding alone, do you think?
I would hope
Or is that
so.
something else that would be considered to change?
So there's some fans that have brought that up. There's some fans that said, hey, let's take this opportunity. I've never been really a fan of it. Take this opportunity. If we're mixing everything up again, let's do that too. I'm not a fan of that. I've grown accustomed to the Brahma, and I really like the cow skull logo. It's a thing that I've kind of connected with and I enjoy. And so I don't like that. But what bothers me even more would be that you just sold a lot of merchandise over the last year to spring football fans again. And if you rebrand right now, you sold them a lot of merchandise that wasn't good 12 months after they bought it. And you could only do that to people so many times. We've been through that. We went through that with the Commanders where we all bought gear and it wasn't good 12 months later. There wasn't a team anymore. Now we bought Brahmas gear and they're going to rebrand the Brahmas, and our merchandise we're going to have to re-up our merchandise again 12 months later. You could only do that to fans so many times before they just go, not doing this again. And so that would bother me.
Yep.
And what else would rhyme with mama? Brahma mama rhymes.
Yeah, but you figured out the cheat on that. If it's an you just change it to her, like Gunsling hers. You already figured out how to do that. You had the command hers. You had the Gunsling hers.
Brahma mama.
You figured out the cheat on that. Brahma mamas just made more sense on that. So, I don't know. I have seen fans online that are like, hey, let's take this opportunity. I've never really liked the Brahma thing anyway. Let's change it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. For us, just for our branding, something military or Old West works way better in our branding than Brahmas. And so if they were to rebrand into something either military or Old West, sort of gunslinger-y, something in that sort of vein, that would be great for us on a branding level. But man, I don't know that I have never been more glad that I didn't buy a jersey. Let me say it that way. With all this
we just don't know. And then there's also the rumors about that everybody knows Brahmas was a Dwayne Johnson thing, The Rock,
right?
And there's rumors out there about the possibility of him and Danny Garcia being out because their email addresses for their XFL email addresses apparently are not working anymore, sending back undeliverable notices all of a sudden, which is curious. But as an email administrator,
they could be trying to get a new email with the new brand. Maybe I'm just throwing it out.
Maybe,
maybe.
Who knows?
But that's usually a domain type of thing. You don't just turn off one domain until you have the other domain in place. So
that's true too.
It's
try not to, yeah.
It's a lot of streamline it. It's a lot of conjecture right now, a lot of rumors and going back and forth. I suspect we'll know pretty soon. But a lot of what we're hearing makes me nervous, just like you, Philip. Yeah,
it does. Now, the one thing that I will say, because it's not all doom and gloom, They're still advertising and selling tickets, season ticket stuff. They're not as hitting it like super hard, but they never have been. Like they've always been sort of slow on the marketing side of things. And I thought the fact that just today, the Battlehawks released a new ticket package just today. And I'm like, do you do that? If you know everything is about to change, do you really roll out a new like party platform or party area that they're setting up in St. Louis? Do you do that? If everything is about to change, don't they send out a memo that says, hey, put a hold on everything for a few days while we figure out what's going on here. Don't announce anything new while we figure out what's happening here.
You'd think. Yeah.
You would think. Well-run organizations do.
Well, I will say podcasting is still going strong. I received a message from Amanda today asking me to join her on January 13th. In Houston, they're having a charity for the women's shelter.
Very cool.
Said, block out your calendar. And I was like, yes, count me in. So, I mean, we're still kind of like in business. We're going to keep rolling with the podcast. Other podcasters are going to keep on going, setting up, community service events, which I'd love to be a part of. But so somebody let us know.
So that's all we know about the XFL USFL merger. It's not a lot, and everything that we do know is just conjecture, and we're not really sure what's true and what's not. Is what it is. We'll find out more information, and then I'm sure sometime in the week or so after any announcement is made, we'll all three jump on here and go, okay, here's why this is okay, or here's why this is not okay, whatever the case may be. Let's wrap up tonight, as much as you guys probably don't want to talk about it, with what's happening in the NFL, baby. Yeah, NFL football. Aren't we all excited? No.
No. I can
you guys get to play each other this week. Chicago and Denver playing each other. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to change for this segment. I got to change my hat.
Change your hat. Change your hat.
I gotta change my hat out because Leo said I wouldn't do it, so I got to do it.
There you go. There's a Cowboys fan wearing a Washington Commanders hat.
Cowboys fan wearing a Washington Commanders hat.
I thought for a second it was Wonder Woman.
I would never wear a Chiefs hat ever.
I've worn a Chiefs hat at
ever. Not this guy, no. Or Raiders hat.
Yeah.
Not no.
Oh, well, Jim Renee also dealing with darkness in the NFL world. He is a Jaguar fan, and they are not having this season. They thought they would have.
Well, I'm just gonna say for the Bears, I think they need to let Justin Fields be Justin Fields. I know he's made a comment saying that they're.
I think that may be the problem.
I was gonna say, I hope he's Justin Fields this weekend.
I don't know who he was last weekend. I have no idea, but I'm just saying. I know he made the comment that the coaches were trying to have him, not be the player that he is, and this. We'll see. We'll see. But
that's not
he didn't show up last week.
That's not stuff that the leader of your team and the quarterback of your team should be saying.
He shouldn't be saying. No, I agree with that.
Even if that's true, even if that's the way you feel, that is not conversation from the podium. That may be conversation in the locker room. That may be conversation in the meeting room. That may be conversation with your coaches or your owners. It is not conversation for the quarterback to be having with the media. That is
that fake hug with the coach.
That was a mistake.
My God, that was horrific.
That's just a mistake. Speaker. Jim Renee says final score in Denver: Chicago 9, Denver 9.
Oh God, that would suck.
I'll take that.
The game is in Chicago, by the way, not Denver. But that would
Chicago.
I'll take
that.
It.
Would be something, wouldn't it? Wow. Talk about it. Yeah, ending in a tie. So we answered the question of which team is worse. They're both worse. They're both equally bad. Hey, look.
Is it possible to play an entire NFL game and all of overtime with 0 points scored? Can we have a 0-0 tie?
No.
But look, the problem isn't the offense in Denver. The problem is the defense. The problem is the defense. What does it take to get a defensive coordinator fired? Because giving up 70 points in a game obviously is not enough.
That wasn't it. I don't know why it wasn't.
I mean, if I do my job that poorly, my butt is out the door. Like
sure.
Here's your box. Take your stuff. Have a nice life. But for some reason in the NFL, you can be a defensive coordinator and give up 70 points in a game and pretty much give up playing. And you still got a job the following week. Oh, I don't get it. I was rooting for the Dolphins to score more points in the second half. Lolis gave up. Halftime, she was done. She's like, I can't watch this. I'm going to go clean house. She'd rather clean house than watch that game, the rest of that game.
That's a bad game.
I'm sitting there rooting for the Dolphins. I'm like, okay, Dolphins, pile it on. Let's go. Let's make this so bad that we get Vance Joseph out of there, because he was not a hire that I or any other Bronco fan I know was a fan of, because we already see what he does
at will. Just scoring at will. It was ugly. I mean, it was ugly. I was watching Red Zone in the early window of Sunday, and they kept going back because they show every touchdown. So they were showing a lot of that game, when Miami had the ball. They show every touchdown on Red Zone, and man, just scoring at will. They would go back to the game. It was in Denver, right?
No, that was in Miami.
Oh, no, it was in Miami. They would go back to Miami, and I would be like, what are we doing? Like a game rewind here? Because there's no way that they're scoring again already. Yeah, no, they were.
They wanted you to see history. They were trying to broadcast history. Yeah. They should have kicked the field goal. You got a chance to get your name in the record books, you take it. I appreciate the whole thing with the coach and trying to be a class act and not wanting to rub your nose in it or embarrass anybody too much. You've already scored 70 points on them. What's 3 more? And then you get your name in the record book. Do it. He should have done it.
And let's face it, Sean Payton deserves a little bit of this with his big bravado, in the offseason or in the preseason, talking about Nathaniel Hackett and the worst coaching job in the NFL ever is, I think, the terms that he used. And then he went out 3 weeks into the season and lost 70-20 to their former ball boy. That they would not interview for their head coaching position.
Yeah, they wouldn't interview him. This was years ago, but yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
good for him. That's the kind of story you like to hear of a guy, building himself up and coming from the bottom, and some douchebag doesn't want to give him an opportunity, and then you find out that he succeeds elsewhere, and then comes back, and that douchebag is no longer in charge or have anything to do with the organization, by the way. But still, it felt good for him to come back and put that beating down on my Broncos. Good for him on that.
Sunday, as we were leaving church, I have a member in my church that was caught me and said, "Hey, I bet you're excited about today," because Dallas was going to play Arizona, which by all rights is one of the worst teams in the NFL. And he's like, "I bet you're excited about today." And I said, "This is the kind of game that Dallas will go out and lose, and just everybody that's bought into them will go, oh, they're terrible now." Let me tell you something. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, and I know that there's some of you out there, I know there's a lot of you out there because we're in the San Antonio, South Texas area, and Cowboys are big here. Stop
Quiet
it
this week.
Stop it. I'm looking right in your eyes if you're watching me on the camera. Stop it. We beat New York by 40, and you start talking Super Bowl. Stop it. We lose to Arizona in what was one of the worst games that they played in a long, long, long time. And you say, oh, we might as well get rid of Dak and fire Mark McCarthy right now and just start over. Stop it. It's one game. Both of those are just one game. It's a long season. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Just ride out the season. And hopefully by the end of it, we will have learned something about this team and be able to make a push in the playoffs. But if you're a Cowboy fan out there that keeps getting all excited when we go out and beat the Jets with Zach Wilson, and you're like, oh yeah, Super Bowl, baby. Shut up. Stop it. Just stop it. Just enjoy the season. You could be a Denver fan. You could be a Chicago Bears fan right now. Just enjoy what you're doing right now. Stop it.
How about that?
I'm so tired of Cowboy fan, man. And I'm also tired of Cowboy hater. Just because I hate on Cowboy fan does not mean, look, some of you people, I'm looking at you again. Some of you people out there that hate the Dallas Cowboys, you're more worried about whether the Dallas Cowboys lose than you are your team winning. And that's a problem. There's something wrong with that. You're more interested in whether the Dallas Cowboys lose than you are they
just took him down.
Huh?
Oh, maybe it was my computer. You froze up, but maybe it was just me. My wacky internet today.
Oh,
so I don't like
that.
I don't like the Cowboys fan. You're right. You don't. I don't like the Dallas Cowboy fan, but I don't like the Dallas Cowboy hater either. It's the NFL. So really, who's going to win this week? Like y'all are both here.
I will
win this week.
It's going to be a tie.
It's going to be a tie. I'm not picking against the Broncos. The Broncos are going to beat the Bears this weekend. I'm not going to say otherwise, but I will retort to your Cowboys fans versus Cowboys haters. I will say part of the reason why there are so many Cowboys haters is because of the way the Cowboys fans act.
Fair.
And so they just get what they're just reaping what they sowed.
Fair. I mean, it's fair. Because when you act like, when you start strutting around, when you beat Zach Wilson and the Jets, and you're like, oh, the Dallas Cowboys are the best team in the NFL. And then you go out and you get beat by Arizona, you kind of deserve that. Shut up. Just enjoy your win. Just enjoy it and be like, hey, I'm really people would come in on Monday after we beat the Giants 40-0.
Super Bowl, baby.
A division rival in the opening week of the season. We went out there and beat them 40-0. And people came into my office, this very office I'm sitting in here right now on Monday. They came through that door right over there and they go, you must be really excited. And I'm like, it was a good win. I liked it. But am I super excited? Am I like polishing a spot for the Super Bowl trophy already? No, it's one win. It was really nice. It's a great way to start the season, but doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. It's one win. It was one loss to Arizona. Stop it. Just stop it. Stop getting so excited. Stop getting so down. Cowboy fans need to be talked off the ledge this week.
Yeah, you could be 0-3 and coming off a 50-point
there you go.
beat down. So
yeah, you could have Justin Fields as your
always be worse. Yes, you can.
You could have.
Please take them. Actually,
right? You so mad about Dak being your quarterback and throwing an interception at the last part of the game? Chicago will take Dak off your hands right now. Straight up trade for Justin Fields. Straight up. For that matter, I bet Leo would take Dak for Russell Wilson right now. Straight up.
I'd consider it.
I'd take them.
Hey, it's the NFL season and it's real early. What you think you know right now, you don't know. What you think you know right now, you don't know.
I know the Broncos and the Bears are bad. I know that. They're not going to make the playoffs. I know that. But beyond that, what we think we know, we don't know.
Just enjoy football season. Stop trying to prognosticate anything. One of the big problems, and I say this as a guy that does sort of media with football here with our show, but one of the big problems that has been created by 24-hour sports media is everybody feeling like they need to predict everything. It's betting culture and it's sports talk radio or sports talk, ESPN being 24 hours. But everybody at the beginning of the season needs to tell you who's going to win the Super Bowl. Stop it, man. Just enjoy the season, man. Just have fun, week in and week out.
Hey, losing football is still football. My wife, Lolis and I and Jesse, we went not this past weekend, but the weekend before to Denver and watched them lose to the Commanders, and we had a great time. We should have won that game, but we had a great time despite the loss.
It's the memories, not the losses.
I am not the guy that will blame things on officials, but I'm going to tell you right now, I've been paying attention to Denver all season long.
We got hosed.
Something Sean Payton did to NFL officials ticked them off. He used to get hosed on calls back in New Orleans. He left the NFL for 3 or 4 seasons, whatever it was. He's come back in Denver, and there are several times there was clear pass interference on that 2-point conversion at the end of that Commanders game.
Oh yeah,
clear.
Oh yeah,
clear defensive pass interference that did not get called. I do not understand what they were looking at or why they didn't throw a flag on it. Because you're not giving them the points, you're just giving them the opportunity to convert on that play. But it was clear. And after that really wild Hail Mary, that was really kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I wish you had converted on the 2-point conversion, just because Hail Marys never work, and it worked.
Yeah.
And it stinks for it to work and then nothing to come out of it. It reminds me of John Carney. Do you remember John Carney, kicker for New Orleans back in the early 2000s? So New Orleans needed to win a game against Jacksonville to keep their playoff hopes alive on the last game of the season. They were down by 7 points, by a touchdown. And there was no time left on the clock. There was 2 seconds, 3 seconds, something like that. And Jacksonville had to kick off. No, it wasn't a kickoff. I'm sorry. It was a play. They ran a play. They did that whole hook and lateral, tossing the ball, absolute chaos. And in the end, New Orleans picks the ball up, runs it into the end zone. They are down by 1 point with the extra point left to kick. Jim Haslett is the coach at the time, and John Carney went out, and he was one of the best kickers in the league. This is before they moved the extra point back to make it a little difficult. It was a chip shot, gimme extra point. He misses the extra point. Their season ended after this amazing last-second hook and lateral chaos play because their kicker mixed the extra point and did not send it to overtime. It means nothing. You do this amazing thing on the field and it means nothing. And that Hail Mary kind of felt that way, where you do this amazing thing happens on the field and then it doesn't mean anything. So it's not that big a deal. So,
yeah, it was tough, but we had fun. Yeah, football is fun. It's a great sport. I'll continue to be a Broncos fan. I'm sure RC is going to continue to be a Bears fan. We'll bear with it. Look, people, I'll take all the hate that I get as being a Broncos fan, and all the ribbings that I get. It well deserved after that 50-point loss. But I'm a Broncos fan. Will always be a Broncos. I got to see my team win 3 Super Bowls in my lifetime.
Right.
In my lifetime, I witnessed it. I saw it. Not something that my dad or my grandpa or uncle, told me about way back when. I got to see, and I only wanted one. I was like, give me one. After those 3 really bad losses in the early Elway days, I just wanted one, and I got 3. So, hey, man.
Hey,
Broncos
you got to see your team win 3 Super Bowls in your lifetime. I've got to see my team win 3 Super Bowls in my lifetime. RC, you got one.
I remember doing the Super Bowl shuffle. So there, booyah, mic drop.
To be fair, you went to a second against Indianapolis back in the mid 2000s. Yeah. Yeah. Rex Grossman made it to a Super Bowl. And that is my people that are like, Dak will never get the Cowboys to a Super Bowl. I'm like, Rex Grossman, Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer. Like, these guys got teams to the Super Bowl. A couple of them even won them.
That's right.
You telling me Dak Prescott isn't as good as Trent Dilfer? He's as good as Tryon.
Everyone
Yeah,
has a
he's
chance.
way
Just
better.
never know.
By the way, before I forget, you said Brad Johnson, which reminds me.
Happy birthday, David.
David Olvera. Birthday was yesterday, so
Happy
we're a day late.
birthday!
But happy birthday, David Olvera. We love you.
Happy birthday.
We're always going to remember those days, and Philip is always going to have that over his head.
Never going to
for
live
the-
that down. Never going to
Oh,
live that down. And
Coachable.
that's okay.
Every time I hear Brad
Everywhere.
Johnson's name, I'm going to think of David Olvera.
Jordan Steubing says, Phil, let's relive the glory days. I'll bring the VHS player. Well, yeah. That's what you have to do to see the Cowboys win the Super Bowl right now. Maybe one day. Maybe. They got just as good a shot as anybody else except the Denver Broncos and the Chicago Bears. So,
That's enough.
True.
man, it's an exciting time. As weird as things are in the XFL right now, and as concerning as that is, I'm still super excited about football around San Antonio simply because of the Gunslinger news.
Yes.
We went out. If you'd have asked me at the end of last season what things could happen to make you super excited about next year's Gunslingers team, I would have said, let's go get Tom Manassa and go to the IFL. And we've done both of those things. That is exciting. Like, we got what I feel like is the best coach in indoor football, and we went into the best league in indoor football, where I made a joke about it, but pay attention. He said, he being Todd Tryon, the commissioner, said that the teams that have succeeded already did not have to build toward that success. There is enough parity in this league that teams that were awful the year before can be championship teams. That means teams that weren't there last year can also be championship teams. It is not unreasonable to think that the Gunslingers can compete for a championship in this league. And Coach Tom Manassa will tell you that it is not only possible, it's going to happen.
That's
So,
all he's looking forward to. He said, that's it.
right.
That's what he's most excited about, winning a championship.
Huge.
Let's do it.
Well, there it is. We will be back. We don't know when. This is kind of our September show. October is starting in a week, less than a week.
Very fast
We
time
expect
goes.
to jump on sometime in October. Don't really know when that's going to be. We know that some players are dropping next week, and maybe if those are really, really huge announcements and we can make contact with one of them, maybe you see us here in the next couple of weeks while we bring you some of the new Gunslingers and talk with some of them.
Call us.
I'd love to have one of the new players and one of the old players.
You want Kali to come on?
Oh, are you saying
Yeah.
he's coming back for sure? Like,
Sure.
is that
Yes,
what we're saying?
I'm saying that.
But yeah,
I don't
I'd
know
love to have
that.
him on the show.
I don't know that, but I'd love to have him. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, with that being said, I think that wraps up all of the talk about not only the Gunslingers, our Gunslingers now in the IFL, the Indoor Football League, but a little bit of talk about the XFL merger, because I know some of you were probably hanging out and looking for that. And I had to rib these guys about their NFL teams, because while, yes, the Cowboys lost to the Cardinals, they are not the Broncos or the Bears.
No.
So I still am leading amongst this group right here. I am not in fantasy football. I went out in fantasy football and got lucky enough to get Christian McCaffrey and Patrick Mahomes on the same team. And I am 1-2.
It happens. Yeah.
What is going on? They're like the best running back and the best quarterback in the league, fantasy wise, numbers wise.
Who are your wide receivers?
I got Calvin Ridley. Who am I? I got Calvin Ridley, and I've got.
You don't know their names.
I'm on St. Brown. St. Brown. I'm on Ross St. Brown in.
Okay, I'm on Ra. Yeah.
Yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one.
I was like, T. Hill. I don't have Tyreek Hill. I'm playing against a girl that has Tyreek Hill this week. Yeah, I'm on St. Brown and Ridley are my two. And I've also got Tyler Lockett on the bench.
It also
Tyler Lockett's
depends on
one of those guys. Huh?
I'd say it also depends on who you're playing, you know.
Yeah, it really
have-
does. Well, so I was supposed to
Against-
win going away last week. This week, I was supposed to win going away. The little ESPN graph had me in the green and her in the red at the end of Sunday's games, Sunday afternoon's games. And then Sunday night, what's his name? Devontae Adams takes the field and scores 42 points in fantasy. And then she had Mixon the next night, and she came back and won by just a handful of points over me because she had somebody that went out and scored 42 points.
That's why you lose. Yeah. It's fantasy football.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun of it.
That's why they call
Fun.
it fantasy.
Fun.
Fun.
Fun. It is what it is. But hey, it's
Yep.
not always about fantasy football. Sometimes it's about real football. And when it comes to real professional football, no matter where it's played, if it's in Phoenix or over in Bay City or up in Albuquerque,
San Diego.
over in San Diego or Tucson, or even in Las Vegas, down in Jacksonville, or all the way up in Massachusetts, wherever football is played, professional football, we are finding out day after day that the 210 has got something to say.
Bang, bang.
All right. Thank you so much for the three of you still sticking with us. We hope you're as excited about the IFL as we are. We are super excited.
Very excited about the
every other
IFL, about the NSFL. We'll see. Not so much. It's not safe
Not
for
so
Leo.
much.
I can't. It's not good for me. It's not safe for Leo.
Not
NSFL.
something for Leo. Not something for Leo.
I'm going to play this music in the background. Can you hear it?
Nope.
Nope.
Don't hear it.
Sure can't.
Thanks for sticking with us, Jordan. And I'm really happy, by the way, to hear that you guys are going to be doing those Halloween jerseys and have those available on a web store. That's awesome that we're going to have an online store that we can go buy stuff for too.
What's your favorite horror movie for a jersey? He says.
Freddy Krueger.
Nightmare is good.
Freddy's good.
Alien would be kind of cool. The first one, that was a horror movie, right? Alien, the first, but it's also
Chucky?
The first one was, yeah.
It's also sci-fi.
Chucky's not really horror.
Chucky,
Yeah,
Michael
no,
Myers?
that's horror. Yeah, Michael Myers is I think would probably be my favorite.
He's thinking Texas Chainsaw.
Oh, that's another
I
good
like
one.
it.
Leatherface.
Scream.
Yeah,
Scream would be solid.
Scream would be good. Of course, Jason.
Yeah, the hockey
from
mask.
Friday the 13th. To get the hockey mask on a football jersey, but yeah, that works.
Yeah, but the hockey mask coming up over like cross machetes or something. I guess they have to be guns. There's no good horror guys that use guns. Like that's not a horror thing for guns. But,
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many good ideas. Jordan says they're going to do a few. One, honestly, the I don't know if I've said this on the show before. I mean, we're not recording the show anymore, but
well, we're live on Facebook and
the first horror movie that truly freaked me out, like really, really freaked me out. Did I tell you? Oh, bye, RC.
Bye, RC.
Bye. Love y'all.
Good night. Go Broncos. The first horror movie that really freaked me out, like the most when I was younger, was Jeepers Creepers, because it was the first time in a horror movie that I saw the monster could drive. That really freaked me out. I was like, because if you could get in a car and drive away from the monster, then you're safe. So if you get to a car, you should be okay. But this monster can just get in his weird ice cream truck looking thing and drive right after you. That freaked me out.
Jordan, I don't know why I didn't think of it before, but I have the request of all requests, Pennywise.
Oh,
do me a Pennywise.
yes.
Give me some Stephen King. Do Pennywise. Or Stephen King. Like if you could do a Stephen King looking over the cross, that would be spectacular. The Master of War. We all deuce down
we all
here.
deuce down here. Oh, that could be taken a certain way too, but yeah. I like it.
I mean, it is the sewer, right? So no, Pennywise. Absolutely. That is my either one. Like the Skarsgård Pennywise, which everybody, it's almost overdone at this point, but it's so good. But even the Curry Pennywise from the 90s miniseries, like either one.
How about
Pennywise?
How about the Shining and breaking through the door, and instead of here's Johnny, here's Kali. There's so many
another Stephen King connection.
funny things. Yeah.
I'm a huge Stephen King fan. For those that don't know, I am a huge Stephen King guy. I read lots of Stephen King. I really like the way he writes and develops character. But yeah, Pennywise is my vote 100%.
Yeah, that's a cool one for sure. And you've got to do Chucky. I think Chucky's going to be a popular one. The colors will match. The colors will match.
I mean, yeah, I've never been. So I grew up all the animal mascots of the other team when Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery. Yeah, that's a cool one.
It's spelled with an S when you're doing Pet Cemetery. Just so you know. I grew up in a household where I wasn't allowed to watch like horror movies. Like my parents convinced me that things were not good. And so like Chinese food, Dr. Pepper, horror movies are things that my parents had no time for. So they
Chinese food and Dr. Pepper?
Yes.
Oh,
like my parents do not like Dr. Pepper. My parents do not like Chinese food. My parents do not like horror movies. And so these are things that I never grew up with an appreciation for. And so as I became an adult, I began to discover these things and like, these things are good. And so I do. I like a good, solid horror movie, and horror fiction. Certainly Stephen King, and Chinese food.
While eating Chinese food and drinking Dr. Pepper, that
there
sounds
you
like
go.
a great night.
There you go. I had a strict childhood, but I could have egg drop soup. Yeah. It wasn't like they just didn't like it. Like it was not something in their rotation. And so it was not something as I grew up as an only child in my rotation. Like it just wasn't part of my world. And so, and I was a really picky eater as a child, so I don't think it would have worked out well anyway. But yeah, as I grew up and found Dr. Pepper, Chinese food, and then horror movies.
I have never been a picky eater, unfortunately.
I am not anymore, but I used to be a very picky eater. Very picky. Bad. Oh, well, I'm sorry about your Broncos. Like, I really kind of thought Sean Payton
I did too.
Would kind of walk in and at least set some of these things right.
Hey, look, the offense looks better. I see things to be excited about. Mims looks amazing. The rookie, the wide receiver from Oklahoma. There's stuff to be encouraged about. The defense just sucks. I mean, there's no way to get around that. It's bad. And they were a top 5 defense last year, and it's mostly the same guys. So that's why all the ire and angst against one person. And I don't understand why he still has a job, but we'll see.
Because nobody else wants that job.
Well, yeah, he wasn't the first choice. He was like 4th or 5th down the line, and everybody else went somewhere else. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's hard to fire the guy that you begged to take the job 3 weeks into the season. Because I think they did kind of have to beg him to come in. So, all right. Well, we'll wave goodbye to Jordan and whoever else is checking out with us here.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for hanging in. Pennywise. Pennywise is my vote 100%. I'm excited about the IFL and excited about Tom Manas and excited about the players that we're going to announce, one of which I know a name. And man, I'm ready for that to get announced. So We'll see all of you folks later.